Welcome back to the Beyond the Leash podcast, where this is our Christmas special. My most favorite time of the year. I'm so excited. 'Tis the season all about hope, compassion, and the quiet heroes who walk beside us every single day. Today's Christmas special is dedicated to our service dogs, the ones who don't take holidays off, who work through the chaos, enjoy the grief, and the magic of the season right alongside their handlers. Today, we are going to be talking about a bunch of different topics that can help you and your family during this Christmas season. So if you have not already grabbed it, make sure you grab a Christmas-themed snack, some hot cocoa, get in your comfy pajamas, and sit back and enjoy this holiday special. I am your host, Service Dog Educator.
And I'm Bumblebee.
Let's get into this Christmas special today, guys. We got a bunch of good topics today. Our first topic that we are going to be talking about, before we even get into our first topic, let's talk about something that's been going on this week with me. Some of you may have known, I made a recent post on the angel tree, on my page about angel tree. And there has been some, viral video going around / a lot of comments about it. So we should let's dive into that a little bit before we get on the actual topics.
All right.
So basically, what happened is that I'm not going to go too much into detail why we had to get Angel Tree this year or anything else like that, because frankly, it's nobody else's business. But I decided to apply for the Angel Tree program for my 2 kids who have disabilities. And of course, we were approved of the Angel Tree gifts. So, question for you.
I might have an answer.
When you think of Angel Tree, what do you think?
Well, I know I've gifted a few things to the Angel Tree in my years, especially in my youth. Basically, what you're supposed to do is you grab an angel off a tree. It tells you, what gifts the child wants, how old the child is, how big the child is usually. And then you go out and you get the child what they want for Christmas. Essentially. That's what I think of whenever somebody says Angel Tree.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, where I'm at, that's not what happens. We don't get to request any sort of gifts. We don't get to give clothing sizes or anything else like that. Basically, we just show up and pick up the toys. So I was not aware of that. I thought, okay, it's kind of like a Toys for Tots kind of thing, because I've also donated and also have been on the end of the Toys for Tots for my kids at one point. So I was like, we're going to try this out. So went to the place that they told me to go to pick up the toys and did everything, checked all the boxes, made sure that I was verified, and then we went through the line, got the toys, left. It wasn't until I was able to get a good look at the toys that I saw what was the issue. Now, in this no way, shape, or form is me complaining about Angel Tree at all. I'm very grateful. As most of you may know, I'm a very grateful individual and understand that there's hard times everywhere, and that individuals with financial struggles, may not be able to do things like this. And I'm very lucky and fortunate to have certain things that I do have. But with that being said, that doesn't mean I get to be grateful for packaging or gifts being damaged just because we are on the low income end of certain things and we are in programs. And that's pretty much what my oldest son got, was damaged packaging of the gifts, or a singular toy slightly broken due to the negligence of the quality control of the Salvation Army that is in our local area. And individuals in the video were seeming to tell me that I was very ungrateful because I was complaining about packaging. It's not just about the packaging as much as the slightly damaged toy to severely damaged packaging that can harm the child that is receiving it. I have 2 disabled kids, and my youngest son, he likes to put everything in his mouth. He likes to get and tear everything up. And he literally ate a picture not too long ago because he just wanted to eat it. And that could be very dangerous for him. So it was more or less of a PSA than a complaint to Angel Tree. And a lot of people had comments about it saying that, well, why didn't you guys prepare for the holiday season? You guys had, 12 months to prepare. Well, at the time, we were not aware that of the situation that was going to happen. It was an unforeseen event that did happen, of reason why we had to go and be recipients of the Angel Tree this year. And I don't have to give you reasonings behind it at all. I don't know. I pretty much explained a lot in a video, so I want you, Bumble, to say your side of it as the godparents of my kids, knowing what me and my husband go through without giving specific details, and how you feel the comment section was in the video that I'm talking about, which, by the way, has over 3,000 views. Thank you, everyone. Woo, 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 for anyone who has clicked on and watched that video. But Bumble, yeah, go on ahead and, give your side.
So again, I've done this stuff before. When I was a kid, I used to be in the Girl Scouts. We used to do the Toys for Tots. We used to wrap gifts for Angel Tree. We did. My youth was a lot of volunteering of time, to others. And, one of the rules that we had to go by with Angel Tree in particular and Salvation Army and all that was that they do not allow damaged or dirty or, just in general, like if you wouldn't give it to your own kids, you shouldn't give it to others type stuff. And that's just kind of common sense. Like, I see it all the time as a retailer, right? I work in a retail location. I see it all the time with adults. They'll come up to the register, notice that the packaging is a little damaged, and they'll go, "Oh, I actually don't want this one because what if the thing inside's broken?" It's like, well, the thing inside's not broken, it's just the packaging. And then they'll be like, "Oh, well, I want a totally new product." It's like, okay, I mean, that's fine. It's whatever. But like when you have a rule in your organization that says we do not accept broken or damaged packaging or toys or items, and that toys should be free of dirt, debris, and any other substances on them, like, like paint or, saliva or whatever else they put on them. Like I would expect those to be handed out the same way that they come in, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not rocket science to know that, like, if you're expected to give it in one way, it should be given out the same way.
Oh, am I echoing?
Yeah,
I can
just a
hear
little
it.
bit. Yeah, you're still echoing.
Hang on.
But essentially, it goes in one way, it's supposed to come out another way, and that being the same way it came in, and I'm not going to say that like I would be like excessively picky about it, but at the same time, like it's unacceptable because again, there's a standard that's kind of set where it's, these are toys for kids. Yeah, sure, they're not really going to care about the packaging, but my worry is like, well, what if someone tampered with the toys? What if somebody put something on those toys and it's going to hurt the kids? You know, it's one thing for them to hand you damaged stuff. It's another thing for them to hand you damaged stuff and not try to fix it. Or at least make sure that it's not going to hurt someone else.
Right. And that was the whole point of, the video, was just to make a PSA. While, yes, I'm a very good parent and I can, fix the packaging and make sure the kids are safe and blah, blah, blah. I still wanted to, organization was acceptable because it's kind of like somebody people a food bit expecting, food that, while yes, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right off the shelf and it's still like not like close to the expiration date, but they don't want moldy, rotten food that they can't even eat
You know what's
at
even
the
sadder
food
than
bank.
that is
While
that I actually have received food from the food bank that's actually molded. It's the standard of
me too,
quality has
but
just
that's
gone
that's the
down.
thing, the same thing. That's the same thing to me. Is you don't expect rotten food at the food bank. You don't expect damaged or broken toys for Christmas, like point blank. Period. But I don't want to dwell on this too long because I did make a whole second part video to it and to the first one and
Yeah.
everything. I just kind of want to sprinkle in that while we were, talking about the Christmas themed of the podcast as we were. But let's get into that first topic of service dogs and Santa Claus, public access challenges during the holidays. Discuss the, hang on, what is uptick in fake service dogs, busy stores, and people wanting to get pet dogs during Christmas shopping trips. So basically, in this topic, we're going to be discussing everything on, how to deal with fake service dogs, how to deal with busy stores with service dogs, and discussing how a lot of individuals during this time of the year like to get puppies for Christmas, but they don't intend on keeping the puppies when they get older. That once the puppy is done being a puppy, they send it back. And I think that that's disgusting behavior. But Bumble, I'm going to let you take over this first part of it and let you go.
So in my years of training, I've noticed that during the holidays, people tend to, want to include their dogs into, their everyday routine. I see it all the time. And especially since I live in a downtown metropolitan area, I see it everywhere. It's not as often during, the rest of the year, but during the holidays specifically, I'll see people bringing their dogs into restaurants or into places that are not pet friendly, like my local mall or, Walmart or Target. And so, it does become kind of treacherous during the Christmas time era because unfortunately people are just like, oh, well, it's cold out, so what if I bring my dog inside? And unfortunately, that's the mentality that gets us into trouble because then it creates access issues. Again, it just takes one bad access issue to completely ruin it for everybody. But my best
Yeah,
advice
100%.
is my best advice to our, service dog community is, and right now is usually when the fake spotting really starts happening. Don't do that. That is so incredibly dangerous. Don't do it, period. Don't follow around somebody with a dog if you can.
I will
And
also say
especially
to
with your
that
own
as
service
well,
dog.
during this Christmas season, by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be really close to Christmas. So a lot of us have already done or is about to be finished with Christmas shopping, the food, all of that, if we buy any sort of food whatsoever. If you see a fake service dog, get what you need and get the heck out of there. And that is always what I've said from day one of, me having a new me. I'm not gonna say day one of me ever, starting this channel, but when I've redid my whole branding and everything, I've always stated that you should get your stuff and get out because at the end of the day, you can't afford a dog in the vet. You can't afford a dog to be injured or your lifeline not having ability to work for you. So why put it at risk by trying to get a viral video? If you really want a viral video, you know what to do. Just say some somewhat grateful, non-grateful things about the Salvation Army. There you go, viral video for you. I just did it for you.
God forbid. But yeah, personally, what I do during the holidays is I use a cane, and mine's decorated to the nines, usually in tinsel and usually some battery operated lights. Um, but I usually also carry a can of pet corrector. Now that doesn't always work, but that's why you carry the nice big stick around. If one doesn't work, the other usually will. Um, Making yourself big, putting distance between you and the other, aggressing dog, usually will solve the problem. But of course, if you're not following the dog around in the first place, you won't have to worry about it. Now, if they're following you around, go to management immediately. Like, don't gamble with it. Don't even give them the
Exactly.
time of day.
100%. And a good way to navigate these busy stores as well, not even just for like fakes, just for like busy time of the year, stores are getting packed, especially now getting closer into it, is if your dog doesn't know already, um, definitely keeping it close with you. Not letting, like, if you let your dog, be a little bit distant from you, like, not a lot, but just a little bit, keeping it very close, keeping an eye out for carts or buggies, wherever, whatever you call it, and just keeping an eye on your dog as much as possible, so that way they are not getting run over, injured, or hit by a buggy or a cart and everything. Just keeping your dog very close, and this is also good prep for crowded areas for the dog as it is. Watching dogs' body signs, if they're overly stressed out, making sure you give them plenty of breaks, or just leaving the environment altogether, guys. So we got to make sure that these dogs, while yes, it's the most festive time of the year, busy time of the year for a lot of individuals, we got to keep an eye out for these dogs at the same time, because not only are these dogs, there with us for Christmas, they're also, they're the entire year with us. And if they're ended up injured or sick, we lose lifelines. So that's my biggest advice to anybody as well. But let's get into a little bit of, people buying dogs for kids or for partners or anything else like that for Christmas, and then giving the dog away after the dog grows up a little bit. So my biggest thing that I'm going to tell people is right now, if you plan on gifting a child, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever your significant other is that you care about, they want a puppy. Fine, great, get a dog. But a dog is not just a commitment for the first year of it, for that first year. The dog is a commitment till it crosses the rainbow bridge, basically. You can't expect to have this dog and keep this dog and then give it up, right, when it's no longer cute to you. And people need to definitely understand and know that, because at least in my area, our shelters this is the busiest time of the year for them, because they get in cats that are, strays that are freezing. They get dogs in there all the time too, and they have nowhere to house these. And then people adopt these animals and then give them away. It's really, really hard. And they keep overflowing and everything. So I think it's really, really bad if you are getting this dog, regardless if it's for somebody else, making sure you're prepared to also be the caregiver of the dog as well. Especially with young children, guys. A 2 and 3-year-old do not need to know the responsibilities of a dog to a certain extent. While yes, my son has a service dog, I take the responsibility of the dog. So I am
Also,
committed to feeding the dog, getting the dog medical care when need be, training the dog, picking up the dog poop, and cleaning up all of it, doing everything for that dog. I do everything for it, not the child.
I'll go a step further and say a child under the age of 13 should not be the sole responsible for like taking care of the dog. Like there are some
Yeah.
things, yeah, a 13-year-old can do, like, cleaning up after the dog, sometimes feeding the dog, making sure the dog has water, maybe taking it for short walks. But in reality, it is the parent's responsibility to make sure that the dog is taken care of, make sure that the dog is, properly walked. Um, I sit down here too. Our shelters are full. You know, if you're gonna get yourself a puppy, you know, really make sure that is what you want, because puppy is not just a willy-nilly gift. It's a living creature. And if you're not even willing to take care of yourself, let alone a puppy, you definitely don't need a dog.
Yeah. Especially if you cannot financially afford it either, guys. We also have to be aware of that. Now, stuff happens, during the year, and there's not much you can do about it. And I will never tell an individual to get rid of a dog if, they ended up being homeless or unhoused or whatever, but what I will say is a dog is responsible just like a child is, your responsibility. And we all need to make sure that we are financially being able to provide for these animals just as much as we would for a kid and everything. And if you get a dog this Christmas, or you had a dog that you was gifted to you a Christmas, great, fantastic. And we hope that everything has gone well, especially if you are a new handler coming into this Christmas season, getting your first service dog, whether that being a program dog or a puppy that you are going to have trained to be your service dog, regardless of the age of what you are. If you're under the age of 18, definitely your parents have to talk about it with you and do help you with the training and blah, blah, blah. But this is a full-time thing for this dog. This is a job. This is your responsibility to any handler out there. You took on the responsibility of the dog. You need to care for the dog. Point blank, period.
Agreed.
All right. What else is on there? Busy stores, people wanting to pet dogs during Christmas shopping trips. Okay. Let's also get into like people wanting to pet our dogs during shopping trips. So I get a lot of people like during the lives ask, what do I do if there's somebody that wants to pet my dog and I'm non-confrontational?
It's
If you
okay to
have
say
social
no.
anxiety or you yeah. But if you're non-confrontational, you don't like to, take anybody off. Basically, you have social anxiety or whatever the case is. I always tell people, switch command is fantastic, great thing to use, so that way you don't have to talk to the individual. You can just walk on. But this is gonna come off as bitchy, and it's not supposed to. So do not take it as that. But at the end of the day, it is your disability. It is your dog. You have to advocate for you and your dog. Whether you like it or not, or you're not too comfortable with it, we understand. But there comes a point in time when you have to say, enough is enough. Stop touching my dog. It is a service dog, and leave it alone. It is working. And that's just where it has to be, unfortunately, because you can't always have an individual talk for you. Unless you are nonverbal and you cannot speak, there's also devices out there that you can use for it. There's also cards you can give individuals if that's also another possibility of you needing something, you know? Uh,
Speaking of
for
cards,
you, well,
speaking
go
of
ahead.
cards, really quickly, I just want to say I actually have a card that says no, and I carry a few of those in like Abby's little like side pouch on her vest when she was working, and it just says no. And on the backside, it says, you have been told no politely now. Now keep this card and remember to use it forever.
Hmm.
It's just a simple little thing of like, if I'm feeling non-confrontational, I'll hand them a little card that says no. Like they'll come up to me, it's like, oh, can I pet your dog? Here's the card. It says no on it. Here's my no pass.
That's what you can do. There's other ways around you being confrontational and just walking away from the situation and everything. But even if, let's say, you can't afford the card, you can't get the card, can't do like you don't have a device, you can't do anything. There is nothing. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe their conversations. You don't owe them to talk to anybody. You don't owe them anything. You can literally just do this. For example, let's say your dog's name is Theo. Theo, let's go, and then walk the other direction, and you don't have to say a word. Will you look
Yep.
rude?
You can
Yeah.
just you can just play deaf.
But
Just
if they're in
that's
the
what I do
dog's face
sometimes.
and everything already, and the individual saw the dog, like
Oh, that's true.
this person,
That's
like
true.
that, you're gonna look rude. But at the end of the day, you don't know that person. They don't know you. They don't know your disabilities. They don't know anything about you. So you're gonna look rude to one individual, and they could come into this live and say, I had a bad experience. And I'm gonna say, well, some handlers are not like that. Well, and what did you do for the experience? Well, I went up to their dog and tried to pet their dog. Did you ask them? Well, no. But they didn't say anything to me. Well, you're not supposed to pet a dog anyways. And if they didn't give you consent to pet the dog, then they were trying, and maybe they're nonverbal. They can't tell you no, so they just took the
It
dog and left. It's their
it should
dog.
always be implied that if there's no verbal consent, it is no. Period,
Exactly.
point blank. If there is no verbal yes,
Point blank.
it is a non-verbal no. Just automatic.
100%. We have to understand that while these dogs are working dogs, they are not crutches. They are not circus. They are not pawns. They are not anything on those aspects. They are there to do a job and to assist the disabled individual. And just because you're an able-bodied individual does not mean you have the right to do whatever you want to do, regardless of disability or not. And that's what individuals need to learn. And it's your dog,
100%.
your dog, your device. You do what you want.
Yep.
Let's move on to the second topic, because it is going on 9 o'clock, and I do want to end this at 9:30. Hubby wants to watch some movies together.
Got it.
So topic number 2: gift guide for service dogs and handlers. The best practical gifts, enrichment toys, winter gear, or handler tools, and stocking stuffer ideas. So in this topic, we will be talking about the guiding of gifts for a service dog and its handler. What to give if you are looking to gift a service dog handler, what to give them, or if you have a friend that's a service dog handler, or you're becoming a service dog handler, you want to know what gift ideas for you to give yourself, or whatever the case is. These are some ideas that we think that might help out handlers to put in their stocking stuffers or gift ideas in general. So, Bumble, I'm going to let you take over this one really quick, and because you have more awareness than I do.
All right. So, some practical gifts that I can see being used, and this also goes for regular dog handlers as well. Toys and treats are always, a huge plus in my book. My dogs actually have a little stocking for themselves. And my parents, get them little gifts every now and then. So they'll get a brand new ball or a brand new leash, or, even, little treats and snacks. So toys, treats, leashes, collars, those are always great stocking stuffers. Last year my mother gave me a 2-foot little traffic leash that she saw and thought would, really help me with, my service dog. And, it did help until it got lost underneath the couch, but we found it recently and it helps a lot. But let's see. Puzzle toys, always a plus in my book. Especially with a household with dogs that are excessively smart, not just pretty smart, actually smart and pretty. Um, Puzzle toys are always a plus because it keeps the dog enriched. It helps them, work out some frustrations, and it makes them use their brain a little bit more. Kong toys always are wonderful. Tuffy toys, always perfect for the heavy chewer in your family. Not sponsored, but would love to be. Um, let's see, what else is there?
I will
Ice
also
molds
say,
for
really quick, if I can add in here, if you are planning on gifting a handler or you're a handler yourself, um, but hand tools, do not get training tools unless the individual knows how to utilize these tools. Do not give them as a gift, because these can be harmful and dangerous to the handler and the dog. If like you're good. Hello?
there you go.
Okay. Did anybody hear what I said?
Not for the last minute or so.
I was just saying, do not gift a handler training
Tools.
tools.
Yeah, training tools in any hand that are not, trained to use them can be potentially harmful. I don't recommend giving new handlers tools anyways, period, unless it's from the actual trainer themselves. Like when I was a trainer, for the last 10 years or so, I would gift sometimes my clients new training tools, or even you know, like leashes and collars. But, again, unless you are a trainer, don't be giving your if your student's not ready for it, don't give it to them. But let's see what else is there. Gift cards to, pet stores are always wonderful. Um Gift cards in general are just great gifts to give, period. Even if you're not using it on your dog and you use it on yourself, it's fine. Um well, let's see what other kinds of things are there. Um I like hand making treats, if that makes any sense, for my dogs for Christmas, and I put those in their stockings. Um, of course, I put them in socks that they can shred. Um, but yeah, those are typically what I give, are just, little tidbits, maybe, funny photos of, the dogs are fun. Um, something that's kind of heartfelt, I guess, would be, going over your training logs for Christmas, and, really seeing what progress you've made, because nothing's more wholesome, than seeing the progress that you've made throughout the year, and then creating a new, kind of New Year's resolution of being like, okay, well, you know what, we're going to do even more next year. Kind of two birds, one stone.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry, I had to relocate because the internet was going in and out, and I wanted to make sure you guys could hear me
You're good.
better. But 100% I agree with everything that you said. And individuals that are gifting, you know, things to handlers. Vests are very nice to do, but can be expensive and not really required. You can do leashes, of course. But definitely think about the dog and the handler of things that they need, and that it's going to make them last all year. So that way they're not worrying about buying certain things. I definitely recommend, if you are thinking, or if you have a handler in the household that you're planning on gifting for, a new vest will make any handler really, really happy, especially one that's somewhat expensive to a certain extent, because I bet
Oh,
they will utilize that vest a lot.
oh, that reminds me. Something else that you can get it along with the vest, and these are not super expensive. Bag wellies. They're the little dog boots with little crack holes in them.
That is a good gift idea.
That those are multi-purpose and for all kinds of weather, especially during Christmas time. Those are absolutely wonderful, and I
Speaking
love
of
them.
boots, that brings us to our third topic. What are hazards? Keeping your service dog safe in snow and ice. Ice melt, toxic paw protection, extreme cold, and negative slippery sidewalks.
Navigating, navigating slippery sidewalks.
Navigating, sorry.
All good. So it. A lot of people don't understand that ice melt, specifically like the salt, that is really, really, really dangerous for your dogs. I've had to explain it to a few people in my area that, they should really think about getting, some kind of dog shoe or booty or whatever you want to call them on their dog's paws during Christmas time, because around my area, we don't get snow. We get ice. We get hard, cold ice. So the one thing that is everywhere is the salt. The salt causes a lot of harm to a dog's digestive system. It lowers it lowers their clotting rate. It also makes them super dehydrated, and especially since there's a lot of chemicals in there, it can also give them some levels of poison. It's not great. It's very, very expensive vet bill. Especially, and the thing is, it's not even absorbed through their paws. It'll stick to their paws, and then what they will do is they will lick their toes and ingest it, and that's where it becomes a danger. Um, so I always recommend, give your dogs, some kind of shoe, especially if you live in an area that has a lot of snow and a lot of ice, and there's a lot of, um, the ice melt on the floor. Um, just be very, very careful. on top of that, sometimes that ice melt salt can tear up a dog's paw pads as well. It's almost like walking on shards of glass sometimes. I've walked out on it with bare feet, and trust me, it's not happy. It's not fun. If you wouldn't walk on it, you wouldn't want your dog walking on it. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, sorry, I was answering something. Yeah, I say if you live in an area that deals with salt, ice, or winter type of weather, definitely making sure your dogs are wearing shoes. If you're not going to let your kid or your self go out barefooted, you're not going to want your dog to. So making sure you have the proper footwear for the dog to keep their toes safe and not irritated, and having proper care for in case of injuries as well.
Agreed. We also have to be mindful that our dogs cannot talk to us, and when a dog is cold, it's almost like us being cold. You have to listen to your dog. If they're saying, if they're physically showing that they're very, very cold, of course, go home. Immediately go home. Just, or sit in your car for 20 minutes while they warm up. You know, it's, you want your dog to enjoy the things that you enjoy, but at the same time, you still have to listen to them as well. Um, it's the kind of saying, like, if you're cold, they're cold, let them inside type thing. But with pet dogs, of course, leave them at home, keep them, warm, keep them safe. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Um, my town in particular is very crowded right now. Like right now, I can literally hear down the street that they're like Christmas carols and whatnot, and it's just insane how like busy my city is right now. Like we actually had a record breaking amount of people come out to our city last weekend, where the trains that go from downtown to my town were standing room only. Like it was crazy. So, keep your dog safe. Be mindful of your dog. If your dog is cold and if you're cold, they're definitely cold. Make sure your dog's feet are safe. Make sure their noses are safe. Make sure that their tails are safe. Everything about them is safe. You got anything else?
Yeah, having some like coats, like doggy coats for them is also good,
Yep.
especially in cold areas. If it's too cold for you to go out, it's too cold for them to be out. So if there's like a storm coming in, of a winter storm, stay indoors, stay out, don't deal with it. Also, if they are going outside, monitoring them outside as well. Monitoring your dogs outside is the best thing you can do in colder areas, because they don't want to be out there too long and get popsicles. We don't need popsicles on our hands.
However,
So
if you do have a
that's the
breed,
whole big thing.
that is built for the winter, of course, your dog's going to be perfectly fine, but still, it's always a good thing to make sure that you're checking on your dog and making sure that they're safe. And then let's see,
Oh, 100%.
navigating slippery
I,
sidewalks.
also, can we go into like traveling during this time a little bit, because of the winter weather, and if you're going through like areas where there's
I
snow
mean,
and there's snowstorms and stuff like that with service dogs, some things to go over.
I'm a Texan. We don't deal with winter the same way you do. So, I mean, you can talk on this one all you want. We get ice maybe for like 2 weeks and then we're good to go. I haven't really experienced a northern winter yet. So, I mean, if you want to go ahead and talk about it.
Well, I just wanted to basically state, like, if you're planning on traveling and you're in like the upper area of Midwest, place where you're going to get snow or there's going to be a snowstorm. Well, we don't have a snowstorm currently that's going to be on the way. We did have recent snowstorms not too long ago. If you're planning on traveling, making sure you have an emergency kit with you for you and your dog, such as water, food, blankets, flashlights, all of that if you are planning to travel with the dog, making sure the dog has up-to-date tags, vaccination records, and leashes in case of anything, and packing snow boots and making sure your dog has boots as well in case
Ooh,
of
ooh,
anything.
ooh, ooh, here's one. Here's one. Doggy seatbelt.
Yes, that too.
Crash tested harness and doggy seatbelt. Those two can be invaluable. If your dog does not like riding in a
Do
crate,
you recommend any wag slip besides like slippery wag wellies for like winter kind of like do you know
so
any kind of winter shoes that are good?
so Roughwear makes some really good snow worthy kind of dog boots, but they're expensive. Petco has a very similar thing to Roughwear, but their brand is called Good to Go. Um, you just got to make sure that you get the correct size, and they don't come in all sizes, like Roughwear does. Um, Personally, if you can spend the money on it, Roughwear is a good to go.
Okay. But yeah, let's talk about like navigating slippery sidewalks with service dogs. And then maybe for the ending, we'll go into like some Christmassy kind of treats we can make for the dogs this year or ideas that we can give to some of these viewers who are watching for the Christmas special of what kind of like if they're planning on staying home or whatever the case is, family members want to get involved with the dog, what ideas they can give for the, for holiday spirit.
Of course.
But how do you think people should navigate slippery sidewalks with service dogs?
Very, very carefully. And that's not a joke. That is not a joke. I can't tell you how many times I have stepped on ice and just completely slipped and fallen. Like, I'm pretty sure at this point I deserve some kind of an award for not falling down this year. Because I haven't, and I'm so lucky not to have been falling down this year. But I don't want to go ahead and jinx myself and do that now. But
Right.
I have myself a walker now, so I feel like I am more capable of staying upright even if there is ice.
100%. Don't drink yourself. Knock on wood. I got you. Knocking on wood for you.
Knocking on
I
wood.
would say, if it's walk very carefully. While I do not have a service dog that goes out into public with me anymore, and my son's service dog's an at-home service dog, I do have disabled kids who are toddlers who do like to roughhouse, who do like to run around and do things. So I tend to, with them, walk very slowly, hand in hand, make sure that I go first and walk very slowly and then guide them out of there, any sort of way, shape, or form, just to, keep them from getting hurt and keep them from, having accidents, breaking bones, or anything else like that. I believe you should do the same thing with your service dog while walking, not hand to hand with your dog but walking very carefully, trying to have you or your significant other ice or salt things down that needs to be salted down. If there's not a salted area that is convenient enough for you, walking very slowly if you cannot go around that. And just staying also away from salted areas or non-salted areas in general during this winter season as much as possible. Understanding that not everywhere is going to be salted and some places are still going to have ice. Just being careful, guys. We all need to be careful, especially with all of our disabilities and everything. We don't know what everybody has, but having, the careful side of it and having people around us that can help getting a fall device if need be in case if you know you're a fall risk and if you fall you can get severely injured, I would recommend definitely getting a fall monitor of some sort if possible, so that way you can easily phone for help if need be,
Agreed.
especially with having a service dog.
Oh, yes.
But I think we should get into a little bit of like some holiday treats for service
Ooh.
dogs that we can do at home or family members can do so that way the dogs don't feel left out before we end this podcast for the night and
Of course.
everything. So
All
I'm
right.
gonna let you
So,
take over that for a minute since you're the one that knows a lot more about diet and what service dogs can and can't have.
Okay, so these are my wonderful, easy holiday dog treats. They don't require chocolate, xylitol, raisins, or nutmeg. Absolutely wonderful. The first one is my peanut butter pumpkin biscuits. Okay, basically, what you're going to do is 1 cup of pumpkin puree, plain, not the pie filling. Half a cup of natural peanut butter. Of course, if it is xylitol free, go for xylitol free. 2.5 cups of oat flour, or you could use blended oats, your choice. It's whatever recipe you want. And then 1 whole egg. What you do is you preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. Mix all of your ingredients into a dough. You can roll it out and cut with a cookie cutter. Personally, my dogs like them shaped as Santa Claus, so I use Santa Claus. Bake for 18 to 22 minutes or until firm, and then completely cool before you serve them. Easy, simple. They're great for tummies, and they're really tasty. Let's see what else is there. My apple cinnamon crunch treats. Those are my dog's personal favorites. And of course, you can add in a pinch of cinnamon if you want to or not. My dogs love the pinch of cinnamon. But of course, if your dog's tummy doesn't agree with it, don't do it. It is 1 cup of unsweetened applesauce, 1 egg, 2 cups of whole wheat flour or oat flour, your choice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and that one's optional. All you do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You mix your wet ingredients, add your flour, shape it into small little biscuits, and then bake for 20 minutes. Flip it, bake it for 10 more, and then take them out and cool. My dogs love them. Absolutely wonderful. They are great. And this one is super, super easy. And this one's also like it's one ingredient. It is my sweet potato chews. All you do, you get one big sweet potato, slice it into thin strips, bake at 250 for 2.5 to 3 hours, flipping halfway through. You cool it down, and you give it to them. It is chewy, it is slightly crunchy, it is slightly crisp. Dogs go nuts. Stick them in your fridge for later, they get even better. Of course, always avoid using chocolates, grapes, raisins, nutmeg, and sugars. And any treat that you do make will probably last you a week if you keep it in your fridge. But if you keep it in your freezer, it might last maybe 2 or 3 weeks. You can, of course, adjust these recipes as you wish. You can make them grain-free or grain-in. I prefer grain-in because my dogs love the grains. And, of course, make them how you wish. They can eventually become your recipes, and that's okay.
You good?
Yep, those are all of them.
All right. So those sound very delicious and yummy, yummy. So if you guys want to participate in that, definitely reach out to Bumble and she'll definitely can give you guys the recipes on majority of those, or just slow this down a little bit, write it down very quickly, whatever you guys need to do on going back into watching these videos and getting those recipes for your dogs so that way they can participate in the holiday season. But unfortunately, this is a wrap for our Christmas episode, for and also our New Year special, technically as well, due to the fact that we will not be doing a podcast until the new year. So for us, a year behind us, this has been a whole much of laughter and bringing us closer into this podcast, learning more about the world of service dogs and beyond the leash. Although holidays can be crowded and there are quite moments of challenges and little victories within these dogs, never stop showing up for them, guys. They are more than just working partners. They are lifelines, protectors, and also family. As we step into this new year, let's carry forward more patience, more education, and more respect for service dog teams everywhere. Let's commit to doing better in public spaces, online conversations, and how we advocate and access and understand. From our podcast family to yours, we want to wish you a peaceful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year filled with growth, health, and hope. May this coming year bring you strong advocacy, clearer voices, and many of those trails be wagging along with us. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you for the support in this community, and we will see you guys in the new year.
Merry Christmas.